What up, everybody? NFL Fantasy Today show. It's Monday, Super Bowl week. We had the Pro Bowl. Did you watch the Pro Bowl? Did anyone?
I mean, I saw a little bit of it, but then I turned it off. It was kind of like a little odd to watch. No one's really trying, but I like to see the guys get out there. Saw some of the highlights of the competition, the throwing one, the tug of war thing, stuff like that. Exciting
Okay.
time, but not nearly as exciting as like the playoff Super Bowl stuff like
Yeah,
that.
people always complain about the NBA All-Star game, but the Pro Bowl is even was the bottom of the barrel.
Right.
So we got Max just wrote a piece we're going to promote shortly. We're doing division reviews. He's the AFC South. We'll talk about that. We got Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl, kind of rematch with a bye year. And then we get the Luka Doncic trade, which is really just taking over. Like, can you ever? You're a basketball guy, right, Max?
Yeah, big basketball guy. Actually,
Big
more
basketball guy.
more into basketball than football, actually. But
Okay. So maybe we'll just talk a lot of Luca. But it's Super Bowl week. It's a great Super Bowl matchup. And all my Twitter is just all Luca.
mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, I
I,
mean, it was weird how the NBA scheduled the trade deadline on this week. It's like, the deadline is Thursday, I think at 3 p.m. And it's like, that's right before the Super Bowl. All these deals are happening. And they've kind of taken over Super Bowl week, honestly. Like with the Luka trade, the De'Aaron Fox trade, Zach LaVine's on the move, a bunch of moving pieces in the NBA. And I think this is just the beginning of it all, honestly.
yeah. Well, let's talk a little football first, then we can just talk Luca because I mean that's all people want to hear. That's all I want to talk about
Yeah.
because it's just so confounding. But so yeah, we got Eagles, Chiefs. You're a Pats fan. You got a horse in this race.
Yeah, well, I'm a honorary Eagles fan now that I live in Philadelphia, so I'll be rooting on the Eagles. I was out there in the streets last weekend during the big celebration. You may have seen some of the videos. Basically, everyone mobs like Broad Street, and it's just a crazy riot. So last time they made the Super Bowl, it was the same thing. They had a celebration to make it there, and then against the Chiefs, they didn't get it done. So it's kind of like obviously no celebration. But hoping for another celebration on Broad Street in Philadelphia. And we'll see if the Eagles can get it done, though.
Okay, honor Eagles fan. Okay, I think spreads what 1.5 Chiefs, which is kind of like the new Vegas zone.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what Saquon Barkley versus Mahomes.
Yeah. I saw a stat online the other day. They said the Chiefs have never played against Saquon Barkley. So when they played him on the Giants, he was injured. So I don't know. He
That's
is a
cool.
unique animal to prepare for. I know the Chiefs have one of the best run defenses in the league, but I think Saquon will end up getting his. I don't know if he'll top 120 yards, but he'll break off a few long ones, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty much inevitable right now. Cool, we got that, and then you just did the AFC South, so let's just touch on that. Anything when you're just digging in the research that surprised you that or were
Yeah, I
shocking?
mean the AFC South, it was pretty abysmal division fantasy wise. The Texans, they came in with a star-studded receiving core: Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell. People were expecting CJ Stroud to take the next step, and honestly, the injuries kind of derailed their fantasy season. I know they made the second round of the playoffs; they had a great year overall, but for fantasy wise, CJ Stroud's not really the type of guy you want to target. Doesn't get a lot of rush yards, so. I mean, he had a decent regular season year. I know he won Offensive Rookie of the Year his rookie year, but people were kind of expecting him to take a bigger step. And I think a lot of that doesn't fall on his shoulders with Collins, Dell, and Diggs being out. So obviously they were the top team in the division, but then the Colts wise, Anthony Richardson, it was kind of a division filled with busts, honestly. Unfortunately for those who drafted them, but like Anthony Richardson, another high quarterback off the board. He wasn't able to produce great when he was out there a few weeks, but it's like, his play style. He's going to get injured eventually, and his passing and accuracies are just tough to overlook, honestly. And that kind of dampened the production of all the receivers on the team. But Jonathan Taylor was a bright spot for the Colts. I will say he had a couple injury-riddled campaigns after finishing number 1 overall running back. And this year was somewhat of a bounce back. I know he missed a few weeks, but he really exploded in the playoffs, which is what matters most. So those who had him rostered and able to make the playoffs, I think his final few weeks, he really exploded for fantasy managers, and you just love to see that. And then kind of piggybacking off that, another player in the AFC South who really stood out for managers was Brian Thomas Jr. So obviously rookie receiver, started a little slow, but people could see the potential was there. Obviously Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis going on IR for the year really opened up a lot more targets early on. And then he just took advantage of that with his athleticism, his speed. I think he's going to be a problem in the league and in fantasy for years to come.
Cool. Okay, so let's just play a little game here. Let's say if dynasty, you got the whole league's blown up available. Where would you take Brian Thomas Jr.? Like, is he a top 5 pick?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge dynasty guy, but I know that wide receivers are more valuable in general just because of the nature of running backs' career, where they're not going to be at that elite level for as long. So typically the top picks in dynasty are like a good receiver, Jamar Chase is obviously probably number 1, Justin Jefferson number 2.
That's probably true. I'm not a big dynasty guy. Let's go redraft. Okay, let's say redraft. Are you taking Nico Collins or Brian Thomas Jr. for
Yeah, I think Brian Thomas is definitely the guy there. I mean, Nico's great, but I think Thomas just has the potential to ascend. The people thought that Nico was going to do that, and while he did play well,
he was the best wide receiver in football until he got hurt.
Yeah. I mean, I like Nico, but I just think people in drafts will go with the upside. When it's kind of a toss-up matchup, it's like, hey, this guy's going to be in his second year, and what if Trevor Lawrence actually plays well? What if they get someone else? Maybe I don't know if they're going to be replacing Trevor, but it's like he kind of had a bad year there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say you had to take a quarterback for fantasy for next year. Who are you taking?
From the AFC South or just
yeah. We're only AFC South.
I mean, you still technically would maybe roll the dice on an Anthony Richardson if the draft capital is right. I'm not going to be picking him in the first 6 rounds, but if he falls now due to concerns about him being the starter or something like that, I would roll the dice on him, because it's like CJ Stroud does nothing for you in fantasy. He's not going to run. He could bounce back if the receiving core comes back, but he's not that type of upside play. And then Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he's fallen off, although they won the division a couple of years ago and people were like, oh, Trevor Lawrence, next big thing. He hasn't really lived up to that hype. And then lastly, I mean, obviously not Will Levis. That's just not even I think the real interesting thing there would be if Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders goes to the Titans, how to evaluate their fantasy stock. I'm not a huge college football guy, but I mean, I know those are the 2 top prospects, and it seems like GMs have a tough time evaluating quarterbacks, honestly. Like high picks bust, lower picks exceed expectations. So it's really just kind of a shot in the dark sometimes.
But I don't think it's always just talent too. It's a lot of situation, right? Even like Trevor Lawrence, if he didn't have Urban Meyer coming in, right? If he had a better, better OC, better system, better O-line, who knows? Maybe those first couple of years are the most important, and and then otherwise you get off the track, and it takes 5-6 years, like we just saw with Baker, Geno Smith, to kind of reorient yourself, right? But we don't know anything. We don't know anything about developing QBs. We have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then what about stack? What stack would you take?
Like QB wide receiver stack in the division. Yeah. I mean, there I would go with the Nico stack, because Nico is an explosive receiver, as you mentioned, one of the top receivers last year. I don't think Stephon Diggs really is taking away the alpha role. I know he has a big name and he came in and everything, but he's getting older.
He might not even return. He's a free agent, right?
Right. He might not return. He runs a lot of the underneath routes more. Nico Collins is really more into the deep ball, I feel. So definitely Nico and CJ there.
Yeah, I was just saying maybe we're going to go Trevor and Brian Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, I rated Thomas actually as the number 1 receiving core in the article, just based on him actually, which is maybe surprising. But I think overall as a stack, I don't really like Trevor Lawrence fantasy. I don't love CJ Stroud. It's kind of like I said, a bad division. I don't like a lot of these guys, but I kind of had to write something about them. So there was a few bright spots, I guess, there.
Okay, and then last thing, what about the Indy? Because the Indy's kind of got the 3, right? You got Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman, and Josh Downs, right? So you wouldn't rather have those 3 medium receivers over the 1 great receiver?
Yeah. So I mean, it was funny. I think I forget what the stat was exactly in the article, but I mentioned it. Like one of them led in receiving yards, 1 in touchdown, 1 in target share. So it was a pretty even distribution throughout the year. I think Pierce was the touchdown guy somehow. But in fantasy, it's like you need that top asset. It's always more beneficial to get that guy who's going to be putting up big weeks than to have a few guys who are maybe going to produce serviceable starter level value. I don't think any of them. Honestly, Alec Pierce was the one guy I think who had a couple blow up games, but that was with Joe Flacco. And that I also mentioned that in the article. It's like when you go from Anthony Richardson to Joe Flacco, they do receive a boost, but I think Flacco's probably gone from the Colts now.
Yeah, probably, but yeah, they got to figure something out. And then last thing, sleeper for next season. Someone you think maybe they'll go late, will pop their value a couple rounds.
Yeah, I think a sleeper is Tajay Spears.
Ooh.
I mentioned this in the article as well. He was really coming on at the end of the year. Tony Pollard was facing a multitude of injuries and couldn't seem to stay healthy. I know he had a lot of incentives in his contract that he wanted to kind of finish out the year and get that money, but Tajay really kind of took the reins when he was a starter. And obviously the Titans offense is bad, but let's say they get a QB, they turn it around, more touchdown opportunities. Tajay starts taking more market share in the backfield. I could see him being like a late round guy. And then obviously an injury to Pollard could open the door for like a full-time role for him there.
Yeah, Spears. I love that. Yeah, yeah. We saw high end handcuffs. I mean, are kind of the key to the league, right? We saw
Yeah.
Charbonnet late. We saw Bucky Irving. Probably a bunch of them. I'm not even forgetting. Okay, well, that's enough of the AFC South. That probably covers us for about a month for AFC South. Check for Max's article. We'll probably drop it later this week, maybe early next week. But so Super Bowl quickly, then we'll talk Luca. Anything in the playoffs that kind of was surprising? I know it's Eagles Chiefs. So Lions getting taken down, Bills getting screwed. Did you think do you think that they got screwed? Where you
I
at?
mean, I don't think they got screwed. I feel like there was some questionable calls, like that goal line call, or not the goal line, the 4th and 1 where he was running it and they couldn't tell, is the ball over, is it not? But at the end of the day, it's like, you're playing the Chiefs. You need to be up by more if you want to be confidently win the game. Like, they did enough to maybe win, but it's just like time after time, the Chiefs are going to get those calls and Mahomes is going to find a way. So it's like, you need to be up by multiple scores in the 4th if you want to feel safe against the Chiefs. I know the Eagles,
Even then,
Super Bowl against the Chiefs, they were up. It
multiple
wasn't enough.
scores.
Yeah, it's like, so same thing with the 49ers Chiefs. It's like they were up.
Exactly.
They come back. So it's like, it's just crazy. Mahomes gets it done. Obviously some help from the refs, but not going to blame it all on that.
Maybe you have to be down. Maybe being up against Mahomes doesn't work. You have to be down, and then like a marathon, right? He's going to catch up. But if you're behind, then I don't.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I would rather be down and have the ball with a few minutes left. I mean, unfortunately, the last time the Eagles played them, they were going to get that opportunity with around 2 minutes and then the holding call, and they just kind of ran down the clock. But I mean, at the end of the day, the Chiefs don't turn the ball over, which is obviously huge in playoff games. And that's going to be the key to the Super Bowl as well. I think if they can maintain possession, it's going to be a huge advantage for them.
Yeah. Do you think teams are going to copycat the way the Chiefs kind of played this year? Right. They essentially lost only one game. They only didn't score 30 points. Didn't really try to do much, but ball control, no turnovers, and then just trust your QB. We saw Buffalo kind of model that. Baltimore went the other way. They're just scoring. Lamar had 41 touchdowns. Henry was crazy. Eagles kind of did that too, right? They weren't passing at all. It was just Saquon. You get a good D, you get a running game, and a QB who's not going to make mistakes.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a great model. I just don't know if teams have the capacity to do that. It's like no one has Mahomes. And even like the Eagles, it's like, Jalen Hurts, he gets a lot of slack around here in Philadelphia for not like slinging it 100, 300 yards every game. But he's a great game manager, and not everyone can be that exactly. So it's like you got a Will Levis back there. You got an Anthony Richardson. Ball control is not going to be in your favor. Like they're going to toss at least a pick or two a game. So yeah, I mean, people should do that, but it's just, do they have the pieces? Do they have the defense? Do they have the running game? Do they have the O-line? Most people can't replicate that kind of success.
Yeah, true. And then also, if you're trying to do what the Chiefs are doing, you're just going to be doing a worse version of that. So
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk Luca. All right, so this trade broke Saturday night. Where were you? I was lying in bed trying to get a good night's sleep, and then I saw it, and I said, "This is fake." And Sam said it's real, and I was like, no, it's still fake. So where were you?
I was actually asleep as well. I was I'm going to the game, Sixers game against the Mavs tomorrow night, and one of my buddies texted me about it at like when the trade broke at like 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I woke up and I saw the text. I'm like, what does he mean by this? And then I started checking Twitter, and I was like, oh my god, and I was just stunned. I mean, I can't believe that the Mavs did that. Honestly, like you just can't do that. You got a 25-year-old, one of the best assets in the NBA, top 5 guaranteed, debatably top 3 player in the league.
I mean, assets in sports, assets in the world. Like, he's Fort Knox. Like,
Exactly. And it's like the crazy thing is they didn't shop him around. That's my problem. It's like, all right, one, don't trade Luka. But if you're gonna trade him, at least shop him around. Mikal Bridges got 4 first-round picks, unprotected.
five? Was
Yeah,
it
4,
five?
5, 5.
Six?
Some, yeah, exactly.
Rudy went for five. I
Marcus
know.
Smart got a couple firsts and Kristaps Porzingis. It's like, how is Marcus Smart getting a bigger haul than Luka Doncic? It makes no sense. And he said it's win now mode. It's like, Luka just brought you to the finals. How is this win now mode if you can't even, like, the only thing better would be winning a championship? And I can guarantee almost they're not going to win a championship. If you look at their title odds, it decreased after they got Anthony Davis. Like, he's a great player. There's nothing against AD, probably a top 10 player in the league, but there's still levels to between like the 10th best and the 5th best and the 3rd best. It's like, I don't know. It was just shocking. I don't know if you have any.
Yeah, it kind of felt like, when you're younger and like you got a bad report card and your plan is to hide it so you don't get yelled at, but then you end up getting more trouble. Like Nico was like, I'm trading Luka, but I don't want to tell anyone. So I'll trade him in the middle of the night and maybe like no one will find out. Like,
Yeah,
it felt like to me because it just didn't make any sense. Like,
that was the thing. He didn't tell anyone in the organization. Jason Kidd didn't know. I think even the owners were a little caught off guard. So yeah, you're kind of right there. It's like he was.
I think that the owners must have signed off. There's no way he did it without the owners. But.
Yeah, so it's like he must have knew that no one was going to react well to this trade. And I saw he was also part of the pitch that didn't get Steph Curry to Nike. He was with them and put Kevin Durant's name on the presentation and said Steph's name wrong. And obviously, you let Jalen Brunson go, all NBA type player now. Kristaps Porzingis traded him away. So, I mean, it's questionable. And then there's reports that come out. It's like, oh, Luka is fat. Basically, they're saying he's pushing 270, and I don't care if he's 270, if he's 370, if he's a top 5 player in the NBA. It doesn't matter to me.
I don't care if he's a Marvel guy. If he's Thor in Endgame. With a giant beer, drinking beer on the couch. Like,
exactly.
We'll figure it out. Yeah. And it's like, there's got to be a team out there. The GM's desperate. He's about to get fired. And if he brings Luka in, it's like the movie Draft Day. It's like, that's the coup, whatever. It costs you Jalen Johnson, 8 first-round picks. Like,
right.
There's going to be a team out there who says, I don't care. Because that's what I would have been like if I was a GM. I would
exactly.
Here's my firstborn son. Here's one of my kidneys. What do you want here?
Exactly. And that it's also like goes to your point. It's like he did it in the night. He didn't want people to know, but that's why you leak the information. If you're trading a superstar like Luka Doncic, you want the entire world to know, because then everyone in the NBA is on notice. They're going to be giving you your best offer. And at that point, you just start a bidding war. Like he could have had an extra Rudy Gobert. Like, look at what Rudy Gobert got in trade deals. He got so many first round picks. And you're telling me Luka Doncic gets one measly first from the Lakers that are going to have Luka Doncic, one of the best players. Like, that pick's going to be one of the worst picks in the first round. So I don't understand it. And I feel like they tried to pawn it off. They were mad at Luka, mad at him for doing this, for flopping in the finals, not enough defense. But it's like, who got you there? Luka's the one who brought them to the finals in the first place.
Yeah, it's so confounding because I always try and look the other way. I was like, okay, realistically, right now the Mavs have a better team, right? Because AD is a better fit, right? Although they got the 3.
I mean, debatably, but it's like, is he going to bring him to the finals? I don't think so.
Probably.
They were there with last year.
But I like the Mavs this season, maybe next season, and then it falls off a cliff. But also, if AD goes out and gets hurt, he's one of the most injury-prone players ever, right? If he goes because breaks his foot or something. Now you're looking at not only the worst trade, like the worst, I don't know, investment. It's like Enron. I'm worried about Nico Harrison's life, right? We saw what Luigi did to that CEO. I mean, there's Mavs fans there that are crazy.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I saw he's making $5 million. It's like he's getting paid $5 million to do trades like this. Like, how is he? He's one of the highest paid GMs in the league, apparently. And I don't get it. I mean. I saw a thing online. It was like, even Russillo said, I don't care if he's smoking cigs walking down the court. I would still give him the Supermax. Like, that was another thing. They said they're afraid to give him the Supermax extension. And it's like, if your owners aren't willing to pay up, why are they in this business? For a guy like Luka, who's the top 5 player, and you're not willing to pay him, it's like, that's how the business works. If you have a talent like that, you got to pay him. And if you don't, why are you an owner? What are you trying to do here?
That's why I'm also like, there's some other there's some shady conspiracy Like I've been getting sent stuff where like the Mavs owners want to move to Vegas, so they're trying to like tank the relationship in Dallas so that they don't care. You know, it's like the plot of Major League.
Maybe something seems fishy with this because who in their right mind would do that trade?
I know, because I get it. I could understand trading Luka for, you know, if you get, you know, Anthony Edwards and 4 picks, or
Yeah,
Jalen Williams and 6 picks, right? I'm just
yeah,
like, there's a world where it's like, okay, you know what, you got 150 cents on the dollar, whatever. But like just to be like, yeah, Anthony Davis, he's 32, center, 7-footers don't age well, most injury prone player in like NBA history when we already have 2 centers, and we only get 1 pick. I mean,
right.
I can talk about it all day. It's just so funny. It's just every angle you look at it, it's like this guy, he's gonna go down in history.
Right. I mean, Luka, he's a generational player. Like he's not only one of the best players in the league. He has he's been a superstar since he was probably 14 years old when he was on Real Madrid overseas, dominating the European pro leagues, winning MVP, one of the youngest MVP in the league, I think. He's been all NBA first team 4 of his first 5 years in the NBA. I don't think almost anyone else has done that. He averages almost a triple double.
And in the playoffs, 39 and 10.
Yeah, in the playoffs, he's led his team to the finals at 24. He's 25 now. It's like he has 10 plus years easy left, and you just don't trade someone like that. Like it was shocking. I mean, I know Luka was shocked. I saw reports he had just bought a house in Dallas. He was crying. So I do feel bad for him too.
Well, I don't feel that bad for him. Now you go to LA, he's gonna be making movies. Like,
yeah,
he's Luka's fine.
Yeah.
But also, why the Lakers? Like, I don't understand. Like, why does these teams like reach out to the Lakers when they want to do something stupid? Right? We had the Pau Gasol trade in 07. Right? Shaq went there. That's fine. Bron going there. Kobe. That was a good, smart trade. But like, it's like, oh yeah, I got this generational prospect. Let's give him to the Lakers. I mean, that just drives me crazy.
Right. That's why some people are saying it's a conspiracy where the league wants the Lakers to be good after LeBron's going to retire and he only has a year or 2 left. So now that they got Luka, they're set for the next 10 years.
But like, let's say you're running the Mavs. Like, I would need like $1 billion to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I get they say it's win now mode, but it's like, I don't think they're going to win this year, and
You
might
better.
as well get some. Yeah. Well, they better now, but it's like, at least get picks. Even if you're going win now, you're going to get a good player or two. Just add some picks onto the deal.
But I do like the Mavs team though, right? I mean, Kyrie's a 3, not a 2. Clay's old, but you got shooting. PJ Washington's had a good season. I mean, if you're playing Brown at the 4, you got Gafford, and when Lively comes back, I mean, it's got some good, nice pieces. But it's like, if they play the Thunder, what are they going to do? Or the Nuggets, where Jokic just treats Davis like a merry-go-round.
Right. I mean, I'm most interested to see Kyrie as the number 1 option now, because I know his whole career he's been the Batman to LeBron. LeBron
the Robin?
treating him as a son when they were in Cleveland, and then he goes to the Mavs, and then it's Luka's team. So it's like the Celtics, Tatum's team. I think this is his first chance to really show, like, what can you do as a number 1 option? Obviously, he's old, but he's still one of the better guards in the league. Borderline all-star player. I know he didn't make it this year, but it's like, let's see what you can do, Kyrie, if you're really that good. Let's see.
He's not.
Yeah.
But let's do hypothetical Luka trades. Like, let's say Boston found out Tatum for Luka. Who would say no?
I think the Celtics would say no there. I mean,
really? Okay.
Yeah, he bested him in the finals. Defensively, he's far superior.
Yeah.
I don't think they would do that.
Okay, let's say the Hawks, like Trey Young and Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, well, it's kind of ironic because that's like the historic draft day trade, right? Trey Young for Luka Doncic. Everyone's now saying the Hawks won the trade because Luka's gone and Trey's still there. I mean, obviously they would do the trade.
That's great.
They would do the trade back in hindsight, I believe, but it's like they would be throwing in some picks. They would be throwing in maybe a Jalen Johnson, maybe someone else. But I don't know. I feel like it would be a weird scenario given the draft day trade for them to just straight up trade those 2 back again and then be like, oh, and we'll give you, 3 firsts or whatever they would be.
No, sure. But like Spurs, I mean, if the Spurs, like, to pair Wemby and Luka together, it's just here. Yeah. I get Luka, you write down what you want, minus Wemby, and we accept the trade.
Exactly. The thing is, I don't think they even have the assets to offer, but given what they got for him, it's like if the Spurs gave him like their next 5 first-round picks, I know they have a bunch of picks.
Yeah, they got the Hawks pick this year. They could do like, you know,
Yeah,
you
they
could
could
put
have
a
got
nice
it
deal
done. I
together.
mean, and they just got De'Aaron Fox. So say they just get Fox, they would swap Fox for Luka in a second. Imagine that, Luka and Wemby. I mean, Fox and Wemby is going to be another great pairing. That was another good move for the Spurs.
Oh yeah, I'm the biggest Fox guy in the world. So
Yeah, so I think he'll be a great pairing. I know
I'd
Chris
rather
Paul.
have Fox than Davis.
Yeah. I mean, he's younger. And that's the thing. It's like when you do these trades, you got to think about the long term. The GM was like, oh, in 10 years, they'll just bury me. I'm like, 10 years isn't that long. Are you just going to be done? Like, I don't.
And they're going to bury you a lot quicker than that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you'll be buried by next week, given what I've seen from the Mavs fans. But yeah, so I mean, I love that trade for the Spurs. I think they've really surrounded Wemby with a core that can not only win now, but win for the future as well. I mean, they got Chris Paul, great point guard, obviously a veteran at this point, not what he used to be, but he's really helped them come along as a floor general. And they got Harrison Barnes there, a nice wing, hit some corner threes. And now in Fox and Wemby is getting to be borderline unstoppable. I think in the next couple of years, he's going to be a potential MVP candidate once the Spurs start climbing in those standings. He's already kind of putting up stats of that caliber. So
maybe this season. If him and Fox connect and Casco's a little run, Spurs finish like 30-10, last back 40, finishes the 6th seed. I mean, you know.
Yeah, no, he's in the conversation for sure. I mean, it's just tough with Jokic, what he's doing statistically. Yeah. It's like we've never seen someone this dominant. And the thing is, he's won MVPs in the past, but this season he's actually been debatably better statistically. I mean, he's putting up insane numbers, and his supporting cast is really minimal. Like, I know they have Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, aging Russell Westbrook, but it's like, what are we talking about here? He's carrying these guys, Michael Porter Jr., and it's like everyone gets a bump when playing with him. He was the only one to successfully revive Russell Westbrook's career somehow, which is weird to think about given their ball dominance together. But it's been working so far this year.
And Russ has been played with everyone. Played with Braun, KD,
exactly.
Right? Clippers. He was with Kawhi and George. I mean, you know, it's like it looks like an Ocean's 11 movie. Yeah. What about the Lakers? Right? There's also a report that we're only going to go a couple more minutes here. Sorry for football fans but it's Luka. I mean, you know, it's Luka. Sorry, it's my first pod after Luka. It's the only thing I want to talk about. What do you think the Lakers do? Because now Braun and Luka is redundant because they both do the same thing. Luka does it better, but they also Braun doesn't get back on D. Luka doesn't. So really, it's going to be 5-on-3 in transition. Maybe Braun can pivot to more, you know, what Russ is doing, right? Play off ball, play defense, which would be cool. But do they trade Braun? Because there's reports that the Warriors are trying to get KD and Braun.
I saw that. I mean,
that'd be cool.
I wouldn't rule anything off the table at this point. Obviously, Luka sets them up for the future, but defensively, they're going to be atrocious with Luka and LeBron, and then Austin Reeves as well. Yeah. So it's like those three pick your poison there. And the thing is, they're going to need a rim protector. I know they're searching for one in free agency. The Jazz just waived Mo Bamba, who used to play for the Lakers, so they might sign him. I saw Robert Williams, Time Lord. He's a great rim protector, but it's like, can he stay healthy? What would they have to give up for him? And then who else is in the rumors? Mitchell Robinson, I saw their rumors to be targeting. So someone like that, obviously they need. Jackson Hayes is young. He's a big. I don't think he's of that caliber where he can be playing 33 minutes a night and really producing. So
I like Hayes though.
Yeah, they're gonna get someone, whether through trade or just like signing a free agent or something that got released. I think they'll find someone, but it is going to be a problem defensively. And I wouldn't be surprised to see LeBron potentially on the move. I mean, I think he has a no trade clause though, so he would have to approve any trade that goes through. So
yeah, they're not trading him to Charlotte.
Right. Yeah. But I think he maybe would consider that. I mean, him and Steph would be quite the reunion, or not reunion, but quite the pairing.
Yeah, I know. For sure. He likes him and Draymond are tight, but maybe he wants to play with Luka. I mean, him and Luka are tight. I mean, I don't know. I'd want to play with Luka.
Yeah. I mean, he can rest. The thing is, with their current roster before Luka, LeBron was really taking on a heavy load of the ball handling, the playmaking responsibilities, which he's great at. But it's like at his age, he can't do all that. And it really shows on the defensive end where he's not giving any effort, basically, because he has to save his energy for the offense. So I know in the playoffs, there's more days between games. He can rest up. He'll have he'll have more energy. He'll do his hyperbaric chambers or whatever he does. But I think Luka will obviously take a lot of the offensive burden off LeBron. And I think it can work. I mean, obviously, they're two of the best players of all time. They'll figure it out.
Plus, yeah, if Luca can get on Braun's training regimen, whether it's legitimate or not, I mean, you get skinny, angry, pissed off Luca. We already seen he's like one of the most petty, spiteful players in the league.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It's just gonna be it's pay-per-view now. Lakers are back to pay-per-view, Showtime. It's gonna be crazy. I mean, I have a bet on them, so I'm cheering for them. But like secretly,
to win the finals or to make the finals?
No, a wins pool. I got them in a wins pool.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think they're going to win that many games. It's got taking in Luka. It's two stars in the same solar system, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to collide for a bit. But so that's pretty much it. That's all we got. We'll just keep talking NBA for a minute. Anyone else? Any other big trade predictions? You think Jimmy's going to get moved? Anybody else?
Well, it's kind of funny because Jimmy was the major name heading into the deadline, right? Everyone's like, Jimmy Butler, he's doing all these antics. He doesn't want to play for them. And then now Jimmy's the one who's not able to get traded. But when you're being difficult like Jimmy is, and what I mean by difficult is not willing to re-sign for the Warriors, a perfectly good organization, and you're saying you won't re-sign with them and trade talks have stalled, it's like you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot there. It's like how many teams, you can't pick your destination when you're being like this. He's not even that great of a player these days. Obviously, he's still an impact player, but it's like for all the headaches he's given team after team, the Timberwolves before this, now the Heat. It's
that's
like
what they said about Kyrie, and then Kyrie just went to the finals of the two. What if he went to the Mavs? Jimmy the Mavs. Like does Nico look like a genius?
I saw one reporter was like, oh, they could be using Anthony Davis as a trade chip to get Jimmy Butler. And I'm like, oh my God, if they traded Luka for AD and then for Jimmy Butler, that would just be like, Nico Harrison better leave town immediately if that's the case.
Yeah, I'd have a body double in public.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all we got, man. Thanks, Max, for coming in last minute. That was great. We got to talk some hoops. I know it's Super Bowl week, but we got all week to do that. We got another pod coming Thursday. We'll talk some more football, some Super Bowl. We'll talk some Super Bowl props, which is really the best part about Super Bowl. And I guess go Birds. So we got Brian, who's a big Eagles fan. Max is a acquired Eagles fan. But so until then, come check us out Thursday. All right. Thank you. End stream.